All right, let's see if a couple of pieces of masking tape can keep this review monetized. Marco Visconti writes the Aleister Crowley Manual, Thelemic Magic for Modern Times. The idea is that Marco is presenting the introduction, basically, to Thelema to absolute beginners. And I feel like he does a pretty good job of it. The contents are quite comprehensive. Let's have a quick look at the contents here. We've got a foreword by Peter Lavender, who is known for writing books on Nazism within the occult, I believe. I also believe I checked out his Wikipedia page, which suggests that he may or may not be the author of the Simon Necronomicon. He has said apparently that he is not, but apparently it's copyrighted under his name. All right. So that's Peter Lavender, who is full of praise for Marco, which is nice. Then there's Marco's own introduction, and then we get into the meat of the subject, right? As above, so below, the lexicon of correspondences. So this is quite nice. Marco goes into quite a lot of detail. Actually, he gives us a complete table of correspondences, which is quite cool. Straight from 777. He suggests that you learn it, and well, I would say that I know most of these through exposure. I didn't sit down and learn them from a table. He suggests that is precisely what one should do. And actually, maybe this is the first point that I can come to where I do disagree with Marco's approach. I don't disagree with it entirely, but I do disagree with some of his approaches. Let me see if I can find this on page 40, an example of the kind of polemic language that I'm not sure I'm happy with, right? No matter how many extraordinary wordy rituals you commit to memory or how many magical tools you make or buy, if there's no breathing, there's no magic. If anyone tells you differently, they're either clueless or lying. I don't know. First of all, I don't agree with that, so I must be either clueless or lying, and I'm not sure I like being called clueless or lying or a liar by the book that I'm reading. On the other hand, this is a book about Aleister Crowley after all, and if it's not a little bit polemic, then what is going to be polemic, right? Aleister Crowley was famously difficult to get on with, and I think that Marco is not trying to make any friends here. In fact, he actually calls out some of his well-known enemies within the pages, and sometimes it feels like that's a little bit out of place. Nevertheless, those are the points that I disapprove of. The points that I approve of is pretty much all the rest. It's all very clear, very approachable, very nicely written. By that I mean that anyone reading this is going to get the point of what he's writing about immediately, which is really, really nice. It's not as humorous as Lon Milo Duquette's work, which you all know I'm an enormous fan. It's going to take quite a lot to topple the king for me. But I think that people who appreciate Marco Visconti, I think that there are very, very many. I think that those people are going to get a lot out of this book. I feel that whether you take his opinions, which he does state as opinions, by the way, whether you take his opinions as gospel or not, ultimately the facts that he's laying out are undeniable and really, really great. Let me come back to that table of contents just quickly here. Then we get the foundations of the magical pyramid, erecting the superstructure, cutting corners and magical plateaus, and reaching the pinnacles. The pinnacle, excuse me. So all of that is basically giving you the techniques, the rituals that will get you into a state, into a situation, and a state of understanding that is going to make you able to access what comes next. And this is the point at which he starts talking about Thelema per se, right? Page 151, and he says, maybe some of you are going to be surprised that a book that claims to be a book on Thelema for beginners is only really starting to talk about Thelema on page 151. Nevertheless, it's exactly the way it should be. It's everything that comes before it is necessary and is Thelema. It's the lead up to Thelema, and it's the way a Thelemite should start their journey. I have no issues with that. I think that's absolutely fine. And his takes on Thelema, I think, are great. I think they're really on point. He let me try and think. There was a point on Thelema that he made which was really nice. It came to my mind and it's gone. Just a moment. Yes, I remember an excellent point that he made about the Egyptian gods in Thelema, and how, well, his perspective, which I respect actually, is that the Egyptian deities approached in Thelema are not really the Egyptian deities. In fact, these are Thelemic entities, and they just simply have the names of Egyptian deities. And I think that's quite maybe a surprisingly helpful way of thinking about it, because for sure, if you start looking into the actual Egyptian deities that had these names, you'll probably not find anything helpful for grasping Thelema. I think that's a reasonable take. Yes, he does follow that up by saying, "Come at me," or words to that effect. It's not exactly those words, but he does say that a lot of Thelemites reading will probably disagree, which is fair enough, isn't it? I mean, we all have our own opinions, and I think that this is an interesting one to consider. Whether it's the truth or not, it's up to you to find out, right? But it's a very interesting point of view, and this, I think, is really where this book shines, is in his opinions, right? As much as I've stated, I don't always agree with the way he states his opinions as facts that anyone disagreeing with him will must be an idiot, basically. Nevertheless, the fact that he gives his opinions is of enormous value, so that you can judge your own opinions, or measure your own opinions up to his opinions. It's always going to be a very, very important activity to perform. I was going to maybe skip the construction of the book. It's really nothing special. It's just paper on board. There is a slight embossing, very, very slight. Just barely. I mean, you can barely pick it up in the light there, and the paper's pretty pulpy. It's I can't really imagine a lower quality paper than this, although that's not quite true. I have seen much worse than this, in fact. This is just regular paperback quality paper. I only mention that because I'm a foolish fish, and I do show you the quality of the the bindings. Actually, maybe that last thing is that Baphomet is on the front here. But this is all we really get on Baphomet. Okay, so don't expect some big expose on Baphomet. In fact, the Baphomet was principally Eliphaz Levi or Levi's brainchild, right? And it was acquired by Thelema later on, which is explained very clearly here, and that's great. I'm guessing that it wasn't necessarily Marco's idea to have the Baphomet on the front page here, but nevertheless, it makes an attractive book, and if an explicit one that would certainly get the video demonetized without those bits of masking tape. All right, that's my overview of Marco Visconti's The Aleister Crowley Manual. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up, subscribe down below if you haven't done so already, and I'll see you very soon with another video. Take care of yourselves. Bye.